I'm joined here by Director of Football David Flitcroft. Dave, it's certainly been a busy first summer for yourself at Vale Park. What have you made of your first 6 months at the club?
I've loved every minute of it. I think the initial phone calls with Carol and with Colin, really aligned me to their thinking and values. It's one word that resonates with me. Having strong moral values, strong family values, and that's what I realised I was in. Great company when I met them. What's happened since over the last 6 months is that the people that Carol and Kevin have associated them with, they're just great people. There's so many good people working behind the scenes to make sure that Port Vale have a fantastic future, not just football, but as a community club. Everything's aligned, and then over that 6 month period, there's been some real successes. Getting the Community Club of the Year award. That was one night that'll go down in my memory as a really memorable night, because when you watch the people behind the scenes who a lot of the time don't get the rewards for the effort that they put in. I watch people from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6, 7 o'clock at night work behind the scenes in this building to again provide a better future for everybody who works in Port Vale and for our supporters. And they've done all this while we've been in a really tough pandemic and a tough period. So working with people, it doesn't matter what the organisation is, working with good people always gives you that buzz, always gives you that feel-good factor. The role I took on was probably really important, that I took it on and then chose the manager. I think when it works opposite to that, when a director of football comes in, when a manager's already implemented, I think it makes it a lot more difficult to grow that relationship. We've been able to develop the relationship with the manager, develop a trust base with his staff, and that's led us to doing quite a lot of outs in the summer. A big rebuilding programme, but one we've thoroughly enjoyed, and a lot of hours has gone into it, a lot of man hours, but we've come through that process, and I've just had good support wherever I've looked in the business, whether I've needed something from Synetics, I've needed something from the HR department, needed something from a CEO level. It's got that. Port Vale has got that experience, it's got that expertise, and it's a club with a difference. That's a million percent what it is. It's a club that's different. They do things differently to most clubs that I've certainly worked for, and I'm enjoying that.
And there's been 12 new player arrivals so far following the Lewis Cass loan from Newcastle. Can you possibly give the fans an insight just into the level of detail which has gone into the recruitment process?
Yeah, there was no recruitment process before we come in. That was one of the missing links, really. When I was interviewed for the job, in any other business, whatever business you're in now, you have a recruitment team, you have a recruitment officer, personnel that really concentrates and focus on what a business needs. The biggest bulk of any cost and any budget to a football club is the playing staff. It doesn't matter whether that's 22 players, 24 players, but that's probably 80% of your budget cost that's going on 22/24 players. And to have nobody in that area or not have a team who was concentrating and focused on that was a red flag for me when I first come in. I brought Tommy Johnson in, who'd worked with me at Bolton, someone that I admired for his work ethic, but his data knowledge and understanding how to build process and how to build a plan and a recruitment plan that fitted together, that knitted together. A lot of people recruit singular and just look at one player and, he's a fantastic player. But if he doesn't fit into a system, if he doesn't fit into a formation, if he doesn't fit into a dynamic, a good dynamic, and that can be as a player or as a person. If that person is the wrong person, if he's the wrong fit, if he thinks differently to the cause that we're trying to put out, if he's not aligned to the overall plan, then it's not going to work. Exactly if he can't do what we're asking him to on the metrics, or his technical ability is not where the other players are. That's the bit that's probably the most important bit, building a recruitment team that had everyone aligned so they knew exactly what they were looking for. So we built the plan. The manager, Andy Crosby's been a big part of that building process. We already had MJ in, who again, probably his work ethic inspires me. People like that do. That young, that energy, that enthusiasm they've got for the project. I see Andy Crosby's enthusiasm. I see the manager's enthusiasm. It does inspire you working in and around them people, and that's what the club's got. It's got people that was passionate and quite obsessive about how we recruit, but it had to be to a plan. It had to be to a format, and that's what Tommy Johnson built, and that's what we made sure we always stuck to that. Any obscure ones that was left field, we looked at them, but if they never fit in, if they were mavericks, then we didn't go with them. We went with players that we knew would fit into the plan that we was trying to connect with, and that plan, the connection with the supporters as well. I think that was important for us. When I look at someone like Ben Garrity, as a fan, would I want to see his commitment? I'd absolutely want to see his commitment and his drive and he's just winning focus. I remember when we recruited him, one of his biggest things is, can you just tell me who's going to be the fittest player at the club? And I said, well, he's probably going to be Tom Conlon when we get back. Right, well, that's my measure. I want to be, as fit or if not fitter than Tom Conlon. And it was just that hunger and that desire that just gives you that buzz,
And in terms of tactical flexibility, you've said that's important before. Having the ability to play in different formational shapes and setups, how pleased are you with the players that you have brought in?
I mean, that's hours and hours of in-depth discussion between the what-if scenarios. What if we're one goal down? What if we're 2 goals down? What if we're 1 goal up, 2 goals up? We're down to 10 men. That we've got to go and chase a game. That a team's on top of us. In a lot of games that I've played, in a lot of games I've managed and been an assistant manager, you never get your own way for 90 minutes. Someone will have a spell within that game. It's just the way football is. It's the way momentum is. It's the way managers will throw on different things and different problems. We've got a manager and a management team that are problem solvers. They'll see them problems. You've got when you've got the experience that they've got in-game management. It's vital. What our job was to do as a football club was to give them the tools, the components to be able to work with them scenarios, work with them situations. And we've been able to do that. I do believe we've been able to do that. I think we're a robust team. We're a strong team. And I look back at the start of the recruitment. A massively important part of this recruitment was getting Tom Conlon to sign his contract. That was a massive piece of business for the football club. Is not just the season he had, but when I listened to him over the last week, how he connected with the club, what he thought about the club, how he wanted to lead us to somewhere next season and that progression. He's someone who I'd have loved to play with. I'd have loved to have been in his squad. I'd have learnt off him. I think his intelligence levels is brilliant, and that's the business that the club has really supported. Because he still had a year of his contract left, and to get him on that deal allowed us then to recruit players on the back of that and make sure that that supported Tom's goal and supported the club's goal.
While a number of players have been brought in, it's important to stress that the recruitment process never comes to a standstill. With match access looking to be simplified next season, how will the scouting process operate going forward?
Well, I think, you look at your Brentford models, your Norwich models, Barnsley models, and a lot's done now, and a lot's had to be done, via the different platforms, so via Y-Scout and platforms where they're looking at a wider screen, looking at a wider angle, so you can see the functionality of a player, which is important. You can see what runs he's making off the pitch, which is always really important. Football fans out there, the media's trained to follow the ball, and sometimes you only see 50% of that. So there is good platforms out there, there's good footage out there, but it's time consuming, and you've got to want to watch football. You've got to want to be obsessed with watching a lot of games, a lot of players. Again, the first thing is knowing what that defender you're bringing in looks like, the midfielder you're bringing in, the striker, what type of goalkeeper do we want. So once that was built, then as long as everyone's linked into that programme and linked into that way of thinking, then what you're looking for is, I'm not going to say it's obvious, but it's not a needle in a haystack. We now turn from a recruitment team into a scouting team. So, we will be going out to look at the 23s games, the 21s games. We'll be scouring the area. We've localised the work we've done, and we're now looking at when them 23s fixtures come out, when a Tottenham might come up to Manchester. So again, localising the scouting. When a Chelsea might come up, we've got really good links at most of the Premiership clubs. most of the championship clubs, and I've had a lot of conversations through the summer with some of the top clubs in the country about trust in Port Vale with your younger players, because when we get the facilities right, when we build the facilities and all the plans that we're trying to do here, we'll be able to offer a fantastic home and a development place for young British players.
And looking slightly closer to home, how big a priority is boosting the Port Vale Academy's profile in the coming years?
Yeah, I mean, that's the recruitment, it does never stop. You're right, you're always window to window, you're always 6 months hopefully in front of yourself. Proactive recruitment is the secret to good recruitment. I see so many clubs that will react to a window, react to an injury, react to a player in form that you've got to sell. So we've built that, and we continue to build that. The next project that we've moved on to really quickly is the academy, and is looking at that as a business structure. I was at Fleetwood a couple of days ago, and what they've built is quite phenomenal. They didn't have an academy 5 years ago, and now you speak to them, and they've got Premiership teams wanting the players, they've got Championship teams wanting the players, and I just look at what's been built and the infrastructure that's been put in place, and it's quite a phenomenal academy. From a productivity point of view, they've not had many players playing the first team, but underneath that they've got so many players that they could sell, and they've got assets and that they could move on, and eventually when they get strong enough and when they get agile enough and get the physical element, they will probably hit the first team. So yeah, we've got a hell of a lot of work to do. It's a tanker that's really slowed down via lack of investment over quite a long period, and we're focusing a lot of attention onto the academy, making it something we can be proud of. And I certainly want to look at the playing style, the physical elements to we should be as fit as any team we come up against. We should never be outworked. A Cat 1 team will come and outplay you. You've got to understand that. But over a time, we want to upskill the technical ability of our players, upskill the physical ability, improve the tactical awareness and intelligence of our players, and give them a brilliant social experience. And with the board we've got and with our owners, that's one thing that holistically, we'll work towards and become a very good academy. That's I'm sure of that. I was hoping I could do it probably quicker, but with such a big recruitment job, that's took our focus. But it's something that excites me. I've got my own sons up at Morecambe, and I watch his progress, and I watch how he copes and how he's coped in COVID. So, I've got a real angle on what a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old player needs and wants and desires, and how to develop that sort of age group. And it's important to be a sustainable club that we have a thriving academy, and we have an academy that has the ability to sell if we need to fund the first team project, because we've got big plans here and big aspirations, and the two are going to have to be really linked together. So very excited. A lot of work to do, but we've already implemented a good structure at first team level. Implemented a recruitment team, wasn't there at the first team level, and we've got to assimilate that now down to the academy.
Yourself and the gaffer seem to have an excellent working relationship, which can only stand the good club in good stead, really. What do you put that down to? Experience.
I think that the manager's understood that my role at this club is to support him and his staff and the players and the football element, and to take that emotional attachment away at board level. I only think about the football. I only think the result. I've seen results here that haven't gone our way, but I've still seen some brilliant aspects of play, of what the manager's trying to implement on the training ground. And sometimes it's human error. There's one game where one of our players didn't track his run. They scored from that, but I watched the manager support him. I watched the manager help him. I watched the manager try and alleviate that mistake that he'd made. Human error. We're going to get that, and not going to get the right result. It's up to me to understand that and and get that point across at boardroom level, because it's very important. But I think our relationship's been born out of trust and a work ethic. The manager's got an incredible work ethic. and it mirrors mine. It's something I love. I love going to work. I love being part of something, and this has given me a real purpose. But you know, it's no good me recruiting singly on a player that I like, because the manager's got to work with that player. He's got to work with that squad. He's got to work with them shapes and system. The manager's been a massive influence over what we've done in terms of recruitment, but we've recruited to a plan. You know, and at times there's been heated debate, there's been good debate, but very transparent, very frank conversations, and we trust each other. And that is the main thing, that when you are two people who are obsessed with football and love football, what we want to get out there is a winning team, and we've been quite obsessive with that. When I see Vicky, the manager's wife, celebrating that win, my wife's been through the same thing. You know, my kids have been through the same thing. You feel them moments when I see the manager win a football match. I'm with him in that moment, because I've been there on that Sunday. He doesn't need a phone call. He's got to spend time with his family on that Sunday. He doesn't need a phone call off me on a Saturday morning, because he's thinking about the game and what situations might arise in the game. Monday is a day that, you know, you come together and speak about the game and you flush it out, the good work, the bad work, you review it, and then you move on. Football moves on very quickly. So many people that was above me or at a boardroom level rung you at the wrong times when you wasn't emotionally right to have the phone call, and you were still emotionally attached to what had just gone on, or you was almost grieving. After a loss, you grieve as a manager. And I know that, and I know them pinch points. So when this job come about as a director of football, it was almost made a lot of sense to have someone who's been in them positions as a player, as a coach, as a manager. I understand the manager, what he's thinking. I know what he's feeling, and that's important, because I've got to support that. Who supports the manager if he gets it wrong? I'll get things wrong. He'll support me, and it's definitely a two-way relationship. And you know, I think when you respect someone like I do, because of the position he's been in and where he's come from and the success he's had, you know, and part of success is being sacked, because you do reflect, you do understand what you might have got wrong, what you could have done better, and I've had that exposure to that, the manager's exposure to that, and you know, we've got a chance to build a fantastic relationship and a brilliant football club.
How have you found the transition into the role of director of football, all in all?
I've enjoyed it. Always had business interest. Always been, you know, involved with a family business, and you know, that's something that when you get a chance to work at and go across to Synetics, you understand that, you know, the brilliance of people there. You understand what they're trying to build over there. That stretches me. Sometimes you can become institutionalised in just football people and just talking coaching and the grass, and what this has been able to do for me is give me a real perspective, and obviously, you know, almost an helicopter vision of looking at a bigger plan, looking at something, you know, incredibly big. The facilities are going to be big. What we've got planned for, you know, behind the stadium, that excites me, to how we tie in the community to that, and to reach more people in the community through the football club. That excites me, understanding what we've all come from. I think it's been a massive reflection period the last 18 months of life, really, and an assessment of life and understanding. I think when things get taken away, when anything gets taken away, we do take things for granted. I think we've took football for granted, but going to that match with your pals, with your friends, with your family, it's not just about the football. We get it so wrong. We all just focus so much on the grass and that result, that one result. Football clubs are a bigger picture, and hopefully COVID's seen that a football club can offer a wider place in a town, in a city, in a community. And I'm hoping when we all come back that we all appreciate that. That's one of my big hopes out of COVID and coming the other side of it, that we'll appreciate what we've missed, what we can have, and there might be a bit more patience to understanding that this football club is the life and blood of the community, and we've all got to stand as one, be together, and make sure that the good work that football does doesn't get lost in it's just another result. I think this football club will be bigger than that.
Just finally, Dave, can you tell us about the pre-season training camp taking place next week? Just how important will that be for the entirety of the squad?
Yeah, you know, it's something again was designed probably seven or 8 weeks ago now. Where we fit it into the programme was probably the key. We did discuss back then, maybe 8 weeks ago, we did discuss as a board, you know, with the gaffer, to maybe go abroad and we knew we had a lot of recruitment to do. We still thought we'd be recruiting 3 or 4, so we chose, which is a wise choice now, we chose you know, UK destination, which was important. We're only an hour away, so logistically and geographically we're not too far away from the stadium. But I think the date of it, looking at it now, and a lot went into that, we thought we'd be at the tail end of our recruitment, and it was absolutely vital by losing so many players and gaining so many players that we from a time point of view, we put it right, just in between and get it in the middle of the training programme, because when you immerse yourself in that 5 days, 5/6 days, what they've got at the training camp, and I was over there 2 weeks ago to assess the actual training camp and the facilities and the gym and the swimming pool, the recovery strategies. It's a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal site. The pitches was in top class condition. It's sat in a bowl. There's a little bit of shade in there because the weather's going to be, you know, it's going to be ratcheted up next week. But it's the other areas where the players will naturally form relationships and build the camaraderie and the team spirit. And we've got it. You know, we've been able now. Obviously, the lads coming back from the playoff, non-league playoffs. We've got them back in the squad now. Lucas, Ryan, and Lewis. So now they're with us for that week, and it's just important that we've got everyone in that week. There's great medical facilities, so injured players that sometimes can be away from the plan, they'll be all with us all week, and it's just, you know, so your people, you know, Gibbos of this world will be with us in that week, so you can, from a mental point of view, it's tough being injured, but then when you're away from the squad and the manager and the staff as well, you know, it's really important that we come together on that week, and that's what it's been built around, whether, you know, that's on the field, off the field, break-off rooms, games, there's a games room in there, there's meeting rooms, you know, we can get so much tactical work done, and you can get 3 sessions in. That's the key thing, 3 sessions in, but the rest, sometimes you cram it all in, but there we've got some real condensed work, out of possession, in possession, and it's just a fantastic site. Again, great support by, you know, by our owners to add that into the programme, but it can't be underestimated, you know, what a week like that does when you've had so many new recruits. Staff as well, you know, we've recruited, you know, from a staff point of view with Andy, DT from last season, and, you know, we've recruited, you know, Dean Whitehead, so these, it's important that they come together as well as one unit, you know, so yeah, really pleased where that's fit into the programme.